Welcome to Take 5 at 5. Yeah, a very good evening to everybody. So, my name is Mian. I'll be your host for today. Welcome to Take 5 at 5, episode 23. And I would like to welcome our regular audience this evening. And perhaps today we may have new audience joining us. So I can see our regular audience, Bobby, Wifa, joining us on the call. And I'm so happy today because I have the privilege or the honor to actually host one of my own mentor in the area of leadership. Yeah, this is Mr. Tan Huat Chye. Before I introduce Huat Chye to our audience for this afternoon, I would like to recap. Yeah, today is actually the third series of this week where our main topic is anchored on meeting leadership challenges in today's robust and challenging environment. The last 2 days, I'm very sure some of you who have tuned in, you have heard Wifa spoke about it and Niwan spoke about it. And today, Huat Chye will actually continue on this theme. And he's going to anchor in on leadership agility in times of change. I'm excited to hear further from Huat Chye. But before that, let me do the proper thing. Yeah, let me have the honor to introduce Huat Chye to our audience this evening. So officially, yeah, Mr. Tan Huat Chye, he's the principal consultant and partners of THC Consulting Sdn Bhd. He specializes in organization development and competency-based human capital strategies. He's also an executive coach for C-level leaders. And Huat Chye came with a vast working experience prior to his current role. He was the GM of organization development for the Sunway Group. He was also previously Senior Vice President of Human Capital for Great Eastern Life and much earlier Senior Consultant for the Hay Group. So Huat Chye, I know him for a long time. That's why I say he's one of my mentor and sifu. So Huat Chye is one of those consultant today who actually have the best of both worlds to offer, yeah, to his clients and companies that he support, yeah. So what he always say, yeah, he has the 50,000 feet of view working as a consultant and also the 500 feet of reality of previously working as a corporate senior management level. So he comes from both sides of the world, and that's where Huat Chye is able to always bring with him a lot of learning and teaching, and whoever he works with, be it our big companies, multinational in Malaysia, or our local companies, he always support them in a lot of the transformation work. So with this, yeah, I have the honor to have Huat Chye to share with us today on his topic, leadership agility in times of change. So over to you, Huat Chye. Please take the floor.
Thank you, Mian, for the generous introduction. It was a lengthy one, but I take it that it is something that we are familiar with, and thanks for the introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see all of you here. I mean, literally through the cloud itself, and nice to have you on board on the program. Yes, Mian.
Yeah, Huat Chye. So, what are you going to share with us today on this interesting topic, on agility of leadership? So, like I say, please go ahead. I know you have a lot to share with us. So,
Yeah.
go ahead and, yeah.
I think I chose this topic about leadership's agility in changing time because if you look back a couple of years back when people talk about the word VUCA, many people can define what is VUCA. Is volatile, is uncertain, is complex and is ambiguous. But many people actually don't really feel VUCA, not until recently because of the COVID-19. That basically is not just a medical crisis or pandemic, but it basically spread over all the industries and the economy as a whole. So this VUCA becomes something very real to a lot of people today, especially people leaders in leaders in various organizations. They begin to feel, oh, this is what it means by VUCA, because everything is so volatile, it's so vulnerable, it's so uncertain. So in times like this, I think this is a time whether you see any organization leaders shine or actually leaders sink. There's a lot of difference if companies have been preparing their people for leadership role well in the last couple of years, I think this is a time they can maybe manage those crises and changing time a lot more better. But companies that has been pushing the staff to do a lot of work and just to beat deadlines and goals, they struggle along the way because at some point in time, there's not many goals to meet. Some industry basically at a
Mm,
standstill. You can't do anything at all. So this is where leadership comes to play a very important role. And not to mention, prior to the COVID-19, the world has been changing quite a lot already. We are into e-commerce, digital marketing.
yeah.
We are
Yeah.
in IR, 4.0, and there's a lot more changes along the way. Some industry responded well to these changes, but many industries still basically are quite traditional. And because they're traditional organization, they have not developed the people well
Mm.
enough. This is where the problem is.
Well, Huat Chai, I'm so already attracted to the slide just now. I saw the word leadership and leadership. Yeah, so that's interesting. Please tell us more about this leadership and
I
leadership. Yeah.
Okay, I must say I coined the word leadership for for a good reason because it's just a pun here. But I think VUCA world needs real leadership, people who can share his or her individual personality and potential to the organization. The least we ever want any organization to actually to have people who sits in a leadership role but providing leadership to the
Mm,
organization. When I say shit here, it means they share his or her individual's toxic. And, and that depends on whether organization in the past has been developing the leaders well. What I observed over the period of time when I worked in organization as a consultant, and also when I was in a corporate, a lot of organization move people up to the leadership role without preparing them, and that's the issue.
mm,
So it's just like today, mobile companies, some telco will tell you they have 5G, but actually when you really look at it, is it really 5G or is it a 4G plus some features? So you can always take a
yeah.
4G thing and edit some feature and say I'm offering 5G, but that's not the real 5G, you know. So the
Yeah.
reality about leadership is a lot of people in a lot of organizations they see very capable managers who are doers, who perform, and they like them and they push them up to the next level without knowing that actually they need to equip them with the leadership capability. They have not developed them for the past many years, but they are now in a leadership role. So these people, uh, as far as delivery is concerned, they may not have any issue. But when it comes to setting direction, creating vision,
Yeah.
driving culture, they may not have what it takes to do that. And that's where they may demonstrate certain behaviors that is not actually very desirable for their leadership level. And that's where they provide leadership to the organization.
Yes, precisely, what Chai, So of course, I'm a clinical psychologist, yeah. So
Yes.
probably I'm very familiar, with these two area, what we call really, a positive, motivating personality versus, the toxicity in the relationship that people have, and of course, leadership is the most critical area of a relationship in an organization, and if it's toxic, we are in a big trouble. So, but
Yeah.
meanwhile, let me pause you for a while, Huat Chai, and let me see whether we have any question from our audience. Yeah. So, meanwhile, I would like to thank them again for joining us. I can see many names: Ben, Julia, Dr. Ong is on the line. Yeah. So, do you have any question for Huat Chai about just his first slide itself? Leadership versus leadership. Yeah. So, question from the audience, please. Yeah. So, anything that y'all want to
Yeah.
nail Huat Chai further to share with you about the maybe leadership. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I see
Me and
today
I must caution the audience.
this
Please do
audience,
not use the
maybe they
word.
don't have questions.
Please do not use the word when you are confronting your bosses and organization. I coined this word more to differentiate the kind of people that we have in organization who's supposed to play the leadership role. It's a ship. It's supposed to take you from one point to another. That's a great thing because a ship can
Yes.
take a lot of load. But if you provide leadership, that's terrible because you're spilling the toxic to the organization. And today's workforce, unlike previous workforce, they will stay because of that. I know this is a hard time now, but whenever the time turns to be better and normalized, you'll find that a lot of them will leave organization. And Gallup has done studies to show in 2017 that half of American workforce were ready to look for other jobs and they leave the organization. The main reason is because their boss. So this is where the
Yes.
leadership
Yeah.
doesn't help. They need to show leadership rather than leadership. But caution, please do not simply use the word when you go back to the organization. This is for your own consumption
Okay.
only.
Yeah, so everybody, audience, yeah, please remember what Chai's reminder, yeah. So, but I do see a question here from our audience. Is from TK Chan. He asks you, what Chai, why leaders are so shitty nowadays?
I think to be fair to leaders, I wouldn't say all leaders are shitty. Lah, huh? I think there are many good leaders, very admirable leaders in corporate, in various. Let's not talk about politics. Let's go to the corporate world per se. There are plenty of good leaders who care for the staff, who engage the staff, who coach, who nurture, who develop them. There are plenty of them actually. I can see, but there are some industries where they have not been putting enough, especially those traditional industry where they want people just to deliver. I hire you in just because I want you to do work. That's it. You just follow what we want. These are the goals. Please meet the goals and thank you very much. But they don't see developing leaders as something that they should do. This one, I think maybe you can show the next slide. I can explain a little bit why leadership is so important for organization. So if you can have the next slide, yes. Uh, this is a slide that shows basically how leadership's influence and impact on performance. This model is actually has been done, in fact, for the last more than 60 over years ago. But the good news is people have been taking this model and adding new information and new research into it. And from Burke and Litwin, it led to David McClellan, even Daniel Goleman also travel with this whole thing itself. So this model basically say, if you look at it very quickly, what leaders do or don't do every day in the workplace, those behavior become his style after a while. You can recognize that's a style. He likes to score everybody, or he likes to call the meeting at 5 o'clock every day. Therefore, he cannot attend take five at 5, for example. He likes to call you after you go back to go home, and all these become his styles. And there are 6 styles which I will share later. And according to this model that has been researched, whatever managers and leaders do or don't do, it have an impact on how they feel working there, and that feeling is very
Mm,
personal. Me, and if you're a good boss to me, you coach me, you nurture me, you develop me along the way, I feel good working for you, and I will give, even I have 100%, I will stretch myself to give you 120. But if you are a boss which is every day just mara every day will just find fault in me, I feel terrible working for you. And even I'm very experienced for another organization. I join you. Chances are I don't feel good about working with you. And based on the research, they found that this feeling, which is called climate, technical word is called climate, this feeling affects their choice. Choice here is not just about whether they want to give more or less. That's one part of choice. The other choice that many people forget, they have a choice whether they want to continue to work with you or not. That's the issue of retention. So in a lot, it's not just about choice whether they want to give in terms of performance and engagement. It's also a choice whether should I stay longer with you or should I not stay longer with you. So you got bosses who are not showing true leadership. On the other hand, showing that the other side of leadership itself. People feels bad about working in the organization and they make choices and they move. And this is especially true when we're dealing with Gen Y today, where they look at leaders very differently. They're looking for a role model. They're looking for leaders with aspiration, big dreams, and they can nurture them along the way. But if you are the one that says, I give you this space, go and done, get it done, and things like that, they don't see you as a leader. And that's why the Gen Y today, apart from the point that they may or may not be clear of what they want at certain time of their life, but they also look at the leaders, and those leaders, they don't feel good about it. They make a choice. I'm not going to stay in this organization. I'm going to move on. And that definitely has an impact overall on the organization performance and engagement. So this model is a beautiful model, 60 over years and more, but well researched, and I think it stands the test of time. So it's a beautiful model
yeah.
to basically reflect for leaders.
Yeah, since you talk on the the leadership influence and the impact on performance, I saw a question from an audience that I'm interested to highlight to you, Huat Chai. It is actually from Ku Swan Pek. So the Swan Pek asks you whether some of these so-called leaders don't even have awareness of their own leadership qualities. So if the leaders are not aware how to subordinate manage this, yeah. So I think that is your box number one, yeah, on the leadership style or qualities. Perhaps you
Mm.
would like to share some lights with Swampik.
I think one of the important elements, great leadership is needed in the VUCA world today and in the ever
Mm.
dynamic changing world today, is leaders with EQ, the ability to tune in to emotions, own emotions and emotions of people, and to manage that at the same time. And if you look into the EQ model itself, Daniel Goleman 4 quadrant model, you look at the first one is called self-awareness. And you're right to say that actually a lot of leaders lack that self-awareness. But that doesn't come because a lot of organizations do not spend money, do not spend enough time to invest on their so-called super performer and managers to develop the leadership side of it. Because if they do that, they put them through assessment either on EQ or leadership. Some of these 360s that comes back or some of these whatever tools they use is good reflection of themselves. But because organization doesn't push that initiative, many of them just every day work from day to day, from months to months, from year to years. And I have seen organizations, they have never developed the people for the last 10, 15 years. So because of that, many of them think that since they can deliver, they are not wrong. I cannot be wrong. Management promoted me 3 times to where I am today. I'm now a GM. I cannot be wrong. But that's not true because there's this, there's blind spot in him that we are not able to help him to see. Those better organization, they do that. Those better organization, they also even give them a coach, a personal coach, which can help them to bridge the gaps. Now, this is where the differentiation between good organization and not so good organization, progressive and not so progressive. So for this problem, if the boss
Yeah.
doesn't have self-awareness, it's a bit more difficult because then you'll get a lot of leadership from him. But if he has a lot more leadership quality, he even invite you to give feedback. And if you give personal feedback, he doesn't become defensive. So you can differentiate whether your boss is a true leader or is showing leadership. And on the other hand, yeah.
Right. So at this point, I just saw another question from our audience, which is quite aligned with just with what you have shared, What Chai. Is from TK. TK said that someone told him earlier that the world is experiencing a leadership crisis. Yeah. So what are your thoughts? On are we having a leadership crisis globally?
I
If we are
think
not following the four boxes that like I say, the 60 years of good work of
uh,
leadership development.
I think as far as the political scene, I do see there is a lot of leadership crisis going on. That I can say, because many of those leadership people in the political world may not have gone through proper development, and they're all about grassroots support, about lobbying for support, and they are pushed up there for that simple voting reasons and things like that. They may not have gone through a proper process of. I have not seen any political party that really invests on leadership development to really scale up the people on that way. So maybe they have a crisis there as far as political leaders are concerned. But I think corporate leaders, I don't think corporate leaders has leadership crisis. Uh, I think there's probably, if ever you want to call it a crisis, I think there's in some sectors, some industries, some companies, be it MNC or even local conglomerates or even SMEs, the issue is whether they put leadership development as a top priority or not. If they don't put that as a top priority, because then you may have some leadership deficiency issues within organization. But I wouldn't think it's a crisis. That's my view. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. Thanks for Chai. So at the moment, I am still like scrolling down to see whether there's any other question from the audience. So
Uh,
yeah, so yes, yeah. Jack, our producer, has
they're still digesting the word leadership, I guess.
yeah. So
so
yeah, I think we have this question from AI Chan, if I can see it correctly. If leader is
Yes.
indecisive period of crisis and keep U-turn in their decision making, would it mean that this leader cause toxicity to the company?
To a certain extent, it might in the longer term. You may have some leaders actually who are quite hesitating in making decisions. Leaders who basically have very light ear, who listen to many opinion and can't make a decision. Leaders who changes his mind every other day. He decides on something today, tomorrow he decides on something. You may have to work with some of these leaders who are like that, and some of this is sometimes due to could be lack of self confidence. Like I said, this could be super managers being promoted to become leaders, uh, like the 4G plus, but disguised as 5G. So we have leaders who are when they go up to a next level of leadership, it calls for a different way of doing things because the feel at that level is very different from the feel at the lower level that he was operating at. So you might get leaders who are like that, and for a longer term, if they cannot make good decision, they always postpone, defer their decision. It could be due to fear of failure. Because some very high achievement people, they are also afraid to make decision because they're scared they make decision will be a wrong decision. Therefore, they procrastinate, they postpone, and they may change a decision tomorrow and things like that. So you get, but the overall long term is not good for the organization because people who work with this leader feel very unclear of the directions, and that is what actually leaders should provide. And you must be decisive and assertive in your decision. But if they cannot show that, long term, it is a toxic to the organization.
Yeah, I agree with you, Huat Chai. Fundamentally, the leadership style. It start with the leadership style. That's why that four boxes to me is very important. On each leader understanding their own leadership style, or what are the healthy leadership style that they can actually learn or even acquire to equip themselves to be good leaders. And I think definitely, this will be something that you want to share with us. What are some of the leadership style that would be actually, helpful for a leader to be agile, to be forward looking, and bring us into the next new normal, because the world is having a crisis. We really need to be setting ourselves up for a journey with the right skills, or starting with the right leadership style.
Yeah. I'll be happy to share. Now, I've come across many leadership models that teaches different leadership approaches and styles, but I personally like these leadership styles, which has been around for more than 50 years. And this six leadership style, if you can take a look at it, you can find this in Primal Leadership, the book written by Daniel Goleman, Boyaziz, and Annie McKee, who wrote the book. And you can find it, I think, page 53 to page 70 of the book, if you can just extract that. And in the book, it mentions there are six well-researched leadership styles over the last 50 years or more. And there are six styles here. I have no time to go through in detail, but I'll just briefly run through. And if you take a look at the slides on the left-hand side, the commanding style generally means you expect people to comply, and he gives a lot of instruction. He doesn't give you a lot of room for discussion. You just have to comply and get things moving. And basically, that's a style. And in Malaysia, it's called the marah-marah style. Some bosses just like to scold you all the time. Then the second one is called affiliative style. This is a style where it's supposed to create that feel-good feeling. There is a good and bad side of this affiliative side. Bosses like that like to be liked, like to be popular, and sometimes they make decisions because of popularity reason, not so much for the good of the company reason. The third style is called pace setting, and this one sometimes is called a DIY style. Normally, leaders who are like that, they are very high achievement leaders. They have high standards, high quality, and they expect people to come to their standard. And whenever they give you a task, you cannot live up to their standard, they'll take it back. And they'll give somebody else who can do it, or they'll do it themselves. That's the pace setting side. On the right-hand side, you see three more styles, which is called visionary, and democratic, and coaching. Now, visionary styles are actually styles that basically this leader will give the big picture. They'll tell you, this is my jigsaw puzzle. I have all these pieces here. I have one piece missing. Me and you are the one that will fit well into. So it gives you the big picture and where you fit into the big picture. He will show you the direction he wants to move. He will sell you his dreams and ideas and plans. Now, the democratic styles are the styles which is used by leaders. Normally, they engage you, they get you to participate, and they would like to tap on your ideas, and they build on the ideas from there to pour bigger ideas. That's what they do, and then they like that, and they like to get the commitment of the people. The coaching styles are those styles that some bosses do that a lot. They would like to call you and says, "Come here, and I would like you. I see you has a lot of potential. I'm gonna help you in this journey, and I'm gonna help you. I'll give you a task, but don't worry. I'll be at the back to support you, to guide, to nurture you, to do whatever it takes so that you can grow. And I'll give you things to do so that you can learn and be exposed." And he will tell you, please experiment with it, no harm. Even if you make a little bit mistake, it's okay. It's part of the learning journey. So these are the six styles. And if you notice the one on the left, which is red in color in the box, these are very operational styles. It gets things done. A lot of managers,
Mm.
super managers, fall into this category. But the other box on the right hand side, which is blue in color, these are the styles that will make you become a strategic leader. And in today's context, it makes you a agile leader. So research has
Huat Chai,
shown,
at this point, I want to pause you. I want to pause you,
yes,
Huat Chai. I'm actually curious to get our audience. Perhaps they can share with us after hearing from you the six leadership style. What is their own leadership style, in their quick assessment of themselves as they listen to your sharing this afternoon. So maybe audience, I invite you to type in our box, yeah, whether you think that you're a visionary leader, you're a coaching leader, or can have more than one style. Please type and share it with us, yeah. What kind of leadership style do you think you do have, or you are practicing these styles at the moment? More than one, of course, is welcome. So will be interesting to look at our current audience, their own evaluation. And of course, as they are typing down, they're sharing on their leadership style, I would assume, Huat Chai, definitely based on the topic today, right? So we're going to talk about to be an agile leader. So out of the six, which will be the styles that will, build them or enhance them to be an agile leader, right? So that's definitely what you would like to stress on based on our topic today.
yeah,
So
I'm
yeah,
not,
perhaps
yeah,
yeah, share with us. Yeah.
yeah, I can share with you this. I must qualify that I'm not an expert in agile leadership, but from the little that I've learned and I've come across and I understand, I can share. I can make that mapping and parallelity of this old leadership theory, which has been around for 50 years, which I think is still very relevant. The fundamentals are the same. You can call it any name, but what is expected here is about the behaviors, that is required when you lead a team. And today we are working in an environment where it is a self-managed teams. When you talk about today's VUCA world in the digital marketing and digital platform industries, it's about everything being smart, being volatile, being dynamics, and you have to respond very quickly to the changes. So it is a self-managed team, and therefore, the agile leader role, if I have come across, they have a couple of key roles. Number one, the role of any agile leader is supposed to co-create the goals for the team so that they're able to know the direction and how they can work it out together. They're also supposed to facilitate ownership. That means people take ownership, and because of that, there need to be a lot more sense of empowerment be given to the team. And agile leader also needs to, help the team to learn fast. So he facilitated the learning process, he coached them, he do what it takes, and even mentor them along the way so that the team can grow, learn fast, respond fast, and grow fast. And agile leader also design the culture of the team and even the organization as a whole. So when you take some of these key role and key focus of agile leader, and we map back into our six leadership styles, it basically fit nicely to the research that has been done. I mean, Dr. David McClellan and Daniel Gomez and the rest, they have done this research. They found that there are four leadership styles that will make a lot of difference for a superior organization: visionary, democratic, coaching, and affiliative. These are the four key styles. And when we look at what is expected in this fast changing dynamic world, the leadership has to be very agile and they must have agility. And when we look at that, you find that the part about creating the vision, creating the culture is part of what a visionary leaders need to do. That style is very critical. He needs to basically,
Yeah.
inspire them on the goals, inspire them on the direction and things like that. That's visionary. Democratic, you are working with a workforce today who has a mind of their own. They can make decisions. It's not like in the good old days when your boss tell me to jump, you jump. These days when your boss tell you to jump, you ask why must jump? Why don't you jump first? Can we choose not to jump? Can we crawl instead? Whatever it is. So we are not dealing with the old
Yeah.
workforce anymore. Therefore, I think it is important for a leader with agility to practice democratic styles because this is where great ideas come from. And bosses need to know they do not know everything in life. And in the team, there could be people who knows many other team. So they need to basically, and what you call extract the best of these ideas from them so the innovation can happen. So that's where democratic style is very important and creativity will be there. Coaching
Right.
style is very important because they need to
Yeah.
learn very fast. And in an environment that is fast moving, so if a boss or a leader can demonstrate that styles to nurture them, to coach them, and allow them to experiment, you know, and not afraid to make mistakes. That's where organization can grow very fast also. So they have a role to play called coaching. They need to coach their staff. It's not about giving instruction all the time. Then last but not least, I think in the agile leaders requirement, they need to basically create that engagement, the team engagement, especially they're working as a self-managed team. How do they engage with each other? And affiliative style becomes very, very useful, especially when things are moving very quickly and fast and tense. There'll be a lot of tense moment between the groups itself and the team itself. So where the leader can come in and create that, good feeling and engagement, I think it helps a lot. So when you look into the 6 leadership styles, the 4 leadership styles, which has been recommended by Daniel Goleman and the rest, fit in and sits in very well with the agile leadership that people have been talking about. And we need to develop that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Huat Chai. Yeah, so this is a huge topic, yeah, and we are just so short of time, and before you know it, 30 minutes is up. So, but I'm very sure, yeah, our audience today, or those even listening to our replay later on, they will have a lot more question to ask you about the agile leaders. So this is where, of course, we're gonna give you, audience, yeah, Huat Chai's contact number. He has his mobile phone, his email address. Yeah, so please, if you have more question for him, you can also type in the comment box here. What Chai will try his best to answer on this Facebook live comment section, or you contact him directly to explore and discuss with him on this topic. So again, What Chai, I'm so sorry. I know this is a huge topic, and I
Yeah.
myself is like so eager to listen and share more, but unfortunately we can't. Yeah. So, and I hope they will contact you and continue on the discussion and engagement with you directly. And of course, for us at the Take Five at Five, we will continue to
All right, so Mian has suddenly hang a little bit.
Yeah.
to like to like our Facebook page so that you can follow us for our next week's 5 topics. Yeah, so please like us and follow us on our Facebook. And next week, Take Five at Five will come back with 5 more diverse speaker to share the topics for all of you. So meanwhile, I really thank all of you to take your time to join us in our live show and asking good questions. There's a lot of questions I know we have not answered. So, but nevertheless, on behalf of the team, we'd like to thank all of you for your participation for this evening. So I guess this is that's all from Take Five at Five for today. And today's Friday, so we will see you only next week on Monday at 5 o'clock. So thank you and goodbye to all our audience, and of course, thank you to Huat Chai, our distinguished speaker for
Thanks,
today.
Mian.
So thank you, everyone. for your sharing. Yeah.